I'd like to welcome everyone to the first meeting that we've had in a while, February 12th. Just to introduce some of the people that are here tonight. Most of you know the two engineers from the town. We have Attorney Mr. Schumer, Attorney Schumer. Jeannie, Mr. Thompson. We have Courtney from Tetra Tech. We have Steve Booley from Tetra Tech. They're all here tonight, so if anyone has questions as we go. With the meeting, I'm going to ask anyone that wants to get up and speak to please come to the podium, state your name and your address. Board members, have you looked at the minutes from January 15th?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve, please?
Motion to approve the minutes for January 15th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Chairman's update. Nothing at this time. I'd like to welcome Mr. Schumer, Attorney Schumer, to tonight's meeting. Consulting engineer report.
I'm going to do what we normally ask, which is anybody who's here tonight, I'm gonna hold off on that section.
Until they come, yeah,
Until then.
appreciate that.
So I will be skipping over some items.
Okay,
Berthold Extension, they're kind of in the same status. Lot 2 construction's ongoing. They have requested a certificate of compliance from the Conservation Commission for Lot 1, and Conservation Commission is reviewing that. Sometimes the board likes to know what other boards are kind of doing. 180 Main Street, Chase Bank, construction's in progress. Let's see here, skipping over the next item because they're here. 163, 167 Hamilton Street, they have a conditional approval and they're moving forward. Haven't gotten a demo permit yet, have we?
No, we're waiting the trench permit for the cut and cap.
So they're working their way, they had some problems that wasn't necessarily their issue. The utilities out there are kind of a mess.
so did they ever find the water?
Are you talking about
Okay.
1753, or are you still in Hamilton?
I'm still
in
in it,
Hamilton?
yeah.
Did they ever locate the water and give you the location of the two water lines?
We're still working on that.
That's what we're expecting on the trench permit application.
Okay,
Okay, trunk space. Demolition and loadout is ongoing. We have requested a schedule update, just to kind of keep track of what's going on.
okay.
Okay. I'm gonna skip the next item because they're here. Rivercrest,
No, Continental is not here
oh,
tonight.
I'm sorry.
They
Continental?
continued late afternoon.
Oh, okay. Let's see, their site plan is currently under review by Tetra Tech. Conservation has been doing site inspections. They have not gone on the next agenda for the Concom. So there's some stuff going on with that. Rivercrest Circle, they still haven't finished the uncovering the observation stormwater retention system ports.
Have we sent them any notification on
Yeah.
that? We have?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
They didn't close them.
No,
Didn't have a
we
time.
did. They're long past their time when it was supposed to be done. We gave them 6 months, didn't we? On the extension?
I think that was before I came back, so
Yeah.
they were long past whatever they have.
So long past,
Because I've been back for more than 6 months.
Nancy, good. Nancy, would you be kind enough on Riverside to send them another notice that they have not fulfilled their agreement?
Maybe ask them to come in, because they might have a reason. I can explain it to
I
them.
mean, I doubt they do them now, but they had all spring and summer, fall to do
Maybe
them.
we can just get an update and let them know, maybe they can plan on doing it in spring. But at least bring them in and hear what they have to say.
Okay, Raising Canes, we're still planning on doing landscape inspection in spring. Skipping the next item. 860 Broadway, we've been reviewing closeout documents. They sent out a closeout package, and I guess there's a specific item I guess I believe that they're required to submit a red line drawing part of submitting the red line drawing is to give the board a chance to review. There are changes, and some of them some are minor, some are major, but the way I guess I view it is that the red line drawing is supposed to give the board a chance to quickly review something and see, are there any changes, and give the applicant a chance to explain what changes are there, and then I believe it's the board's decision on whether or not it's minor, major or minor. Opposed to the letter they submitted where they were stating that it seemed like they were indicating that they got to make that decision. So,
What, to provide red line drawings?
that they were saying that they were substantially complete, was it, or?
Mhm.
So
Whether
you
it was
guys still
minor or
haven't
major.
received red line drawings?
We have not received red line drawings. We've reached out several times. There's a couple areas that don't look quite right comparing the plans. And those might or might not be a big issue. But that's why you do red lines, is to, so it makes it very clear where the changes are. And then the applicant can come in and say, well, we made this change for this reason, we made that change for that reason. And then the board decides. Because it's not up to us, or it's not up to us. We're supposed to be advising the board. And then it is a large site, stuff happens. I guess I also wanted to address, we went through the memo from the applicant, they had VHB out there. They talked about trees in the past here, and they made it sound like there was only one or two. If I'm reading their memo correctly, it says 16 trees are missing, 104 shrubs, and 93 perennials, which again, might or might not be a big deal, but that's, in my opinion, is the board's decision. We're to point out variations. They had actually taken a batch of plants from one area and moved it to another, which again, may or may not be a big deal. I feel it's the board's decision. But that's, as part of a closeout, I feel that they would come before the board, point where things have changed, and then that would end up with a final document that the board's agreed with, for an as-built. Well, I mean, an as-built is an as-built, but if the as-built doesn't do what it's supposed to or what it's approved to, then that's kind of a continuing issue. So part of that memo from VHB does call out that they moved around. There's a good chunk of plants as you go in, the back left corner where there's a drop off. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's supposed to be there, and they took it all up and moved it somewhere else. I suspect that's a Concom issue, but this board isn't going to address Concom issues. But if they're moving stuff around, you come in, you show the board what you moved, tell them why, and then.
So is that to the left of that building B that you're referring to, that back corner?
Yeah,
Mhm.
where they have that big drop off in the riprap.
And they have a fence there?
Yeah, the
So
plans called for
is it, did
like
they
a
do
shrub
that together?
line, a fence, and then drop off. And there's no shrubs. But in their document from, that they had VHB go out and certify things. And in that document, they circled that whole area and put an arrow that said that it got moved to a different location, to the other side of the lot.
Did they say what they plan to do with that space now? Instead of green space, did they use it for parking, more parking?
To me, it looks.
I drove up there today, it's all snow, so I couldn't see.
To me, and this is part of where I'm getting at, the plans don't look quite right, and it might not be a big deal, but, in the plans, it looked like there was parking, sidewalk, shrubs, fence, drop off. And now it's parking, sidewalk, fence, there's no room, as far as I can tell, there's no room for shrubs in there, and then drop off. So the board, I know specifically, there's been other projects where the board, like the Chase Bank project, where the board has been very clear about how they feel about plantings. And that's the sort of thing that, and you guys might completely agree with it. That's fine, but I guess I believe it's the board's decision on whether or not it's to be approved that way or not.
Do you have a list of the board members of the inconsistencies?
So I made a couple key items. Because part of why we do a red line is instead of me and Kevin spending hours trying to compare one plan to another, I found enough inconsistencies, like the plants in the back corner, that I feel strongly that a red line drawing would be required. Then we could just take a red line drawing and compare red lines to where things are. Another issue we had found is the number of units on the as-built per building is different than what was on the building permits.
That's huge.
Which, I mean, they might be moving things around.
The
but
total number is the same?
Oh, they haven't gotten to the final one, so,
Final, but the,
Building 3.
so building, is it 1 or 2,
Well, yeah.
they had more units in, and we were compared
but
to.
the buildings are done, so the unit count is there.
Right,
So it was the total unit count, the same number as what we approved.
No.
we're still checking into that. We were basically comparing the building permit, approved building permits to the as-built plans, and those numbers are different. The plans, so they submitted plans that are called as-bills. And the number of units per building is different than what's on the building permit.
Nancy, did we get a copy of the as-bills?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you didn't, I have a,
I don't think we did. I haven't seen as-bills. Have you seen as-bills? Have you seen as-bills?
I haven't looked at any, I can't comment on it, but it's different from what's on the plan, I can tell you that.
Well, I'm just asking you if you received them. Did you
No, I
receive?
have not received anything for as-bills.
Okay.
I think everything is being directed to you, Madam Chairman.
so in general, I guess even though they provided as-built, the board has traditionally required red lines. We've come up with a document to define what a red line is. So we've been asking for the red lines, and there's enough differences in what I see, I think, to warrant pushing for the red lines.
So if I'm correct, if I may, the red line drawings against the plans that, well, no red line drawings, but I believe you guys did an overlay of the site, that what was supposed to be there and what's not there. If you
We
could-
were doing it by eye, putting one set of plans.
If you could present that to the board, that may help.
Okay, so, for the next meeting, we would plan on so what Kevin spent a lot of time comparing one plan to the other. Maybe, if we circled areas in red to show places where we know there's differences between the proposed, or sorry, between the approved set and the as-bills. And there are definitely going to be, in the project this large, there are going to be some differences. But the real question is, where are those changes, where are those differences? And, that would be presented to the board for the board's review and then decision. Okay. That would bring us up to
Daisy, yeah?
Daisy Ave, which we referred over to Concom. They have not submitted to Concom as of yet. So that's whatever they do is whatever they do. No update on Homeland. And that would be our engineer's report.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for the engineers? Rich?
No.
Jimmy? Thank you, gentlemen. We'll pick up when we open the meeting up on the
Other items? Yeah.
9:48. Yep. Nancy, do we have any new subdivisions or any site plan, anything new that's come in?
We have a site plan submission for 24 Broadway for site plan review.
Okay. And they're full sets of plans? Okay,
What was that address?
24 Broadway.
Is that the old rug store next to the Army Navy store?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
So that's the lot next to the Army Navy store. I'm just-
Okay.
'cause
The
they've been-
reason why it sounds familiar, we were gonna put it at something else there
Yep.
a couple of years ago,
They've been before the board a
and
couple times.
they backed out.
The rug store, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be a rug store, and then,
They found out there's a 20-inch water line. I wonder if the new applicant knows that.
We do.
Okay. Move forward.
Yeah.
This is a continued public hearing, site plan review, permit master plan for 948. Attorney, Mr. Richard Begum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Attorney Richard Magnan with an office at 194 Central Street here in Saugus, representing the Kowloon and Wong family present this evening. Bobby Wong, Dennis Wong, Mike McEwen, the architect, John Barrows, and Paul Mashonda from Mashonda Engineering. Among the other things the matter was continued with, I don't know which number meeting this is, but I think primarily we were looking to get the peer reviewer's response to the traffic report that had been submitted with the application. And in turn, I believe Mashonda Engineering provided some responses in relation to those comments made by the peer review Tetra Tech. From that point, I'd leave that to the engineer and any questions that may be posed by Tetra Tech regarding the same. Well, just in case there's any questions about any responses.
Well, I understood that Courtney's gonna make a presentation of her review, is that what we're gonna do?
Well, I don't know if has the board heard anything on traffic yet for the project? So I don't know if you guys wanted to hear them present their
Well, that's what,
present their
that's
study and
tonight's
then-
meeting is about, traffic, so.
Yep.
So Paul Marchand, Marchand Associates, so I do have, MDM was hired to do a traffic study report. Tetra Tech did a review, and then MDM responded to those comments. And now I have the more updated review letter that was submitted on 2 days ago, February 10th. And I went through it, there's nothing that we have a problem with. I mean, I think everything is fine. We're good to go. I didn't see any issues.
Madam Chairwoman, most of the outstanding comments that we made are recommendations for the board's consideration to include as conditions of approval, should you decide to approve. There were a couple of items that were still outstanding as far as potential commitments. One was MDM mentioned that they would commit to ongoing discussions with the engineering department and the board to identify what, if any, improvements as part of the Main and Broadway planning effort, if there's anything outstanding that the board felt was in the purview of being imposed upon this project, as well as the board's approval of the proposed new interconnection, secondary access with the hotel parcel, which MDM.
I'm sorry, Courtney, I don't want to, when you're referring to one of them, can you just say the
Oh,
number so we can follow along
Oh,
with you?
absolutely.
So most of, I see a lot of them are resolved, but the ones that are not resolved, you're saying that they've listed as potential conditions. Are you saying you agree with those and you would be okay with those as potential conditions? Okay.
Would you like
So-
me to go through each of them?
If there's, you don't have to go through all of them for the sake of time, I don't think, unless the board wants to. Just ones that you're gonna recommend as conditions, maybe you can just read those into the record.
Okay, absolutely. So this one we didn't necessarily recommend as a condition, but would the board or the town engineering department like to have a commitment of any kind at Main and Broadway?
So what number are you on?
That is number 5.
I don't wanna speak for everybody, but I think if the proponent is committing to coordinate with the town, we may not need to make it a condition. If we can
It would
come
just
to
be a matter of if there are any improvements at that location that were previously identified in your planning effort by others. That would be the ongoing coordination, so that we would recommend the board identify a specific mitigation measure
Okay.
at that location if there was any outstanding
So have you
improvements.
compared that up against the rules and regulations of Article 21?
No, they had just mentioned in their original traffic study that there was a previous planning effort at that location. And so we, in our first comment letter, had recommended that they coordinate with the town engineering department and the board on if there are any outstanding measures that were identified or recommended in that planning effort that the board felt should be improved as part of this project. We didn't identify anything. This was just in response to something that MDM had put in their original traffic study, but there was no specifics, and their
Yeah, I
response
don't know
this
what
time.
that is. Are you guys familiar with that?
There
So-
might not
Are
be
you?
any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any? I'm trying to think where that intersects with Main Street. Where does the parking lot
It,
intersect with Main Street?
it comes on the off-ramp,
Yes.
Main Street off-ramp.
Mhm.
And only because I live there, it's horrendous in the morning with the school traffic. So if you're gonna dump all kinds of traffic down through that parking lot to beat the traffic from going northbound to reverse coming southbound, that's the shortest path of 2 points. I don't know what we're gonna do there. It's awful now. You get complaints all the time. The thing that I have to say in that, I don't believe that the width, the direction, the setback, any of that works to Article 21.
Okay.
Article 21 calls for the road to be 35 feet, sidewalk on both sides, and it has to be set so far back off of Route 1 because of the glare of the headlights will be facing the oncoming traffic on the main thoroughfare.
Okay.
So if you would look into that, and it just,
Sure.
sometimes we can read this and interpretation is totally different, so.
Okay. Can look into that. Item number 7, we recommend to the board that they condition the project upon showing the site distance plans and profiles for the proposed driveway on Route 1 on the final site plans. MDM provided their own graphic, and we reviewed it, and it was prepared in accordance with industry standards. It's just we always recommend that the final plan set have that so that the contractor can then know what triangle to keep clear of any obstructions that are 2 feet tall, and any snow storage areas should be outside of that window as well.
Okay.
The next item is number 11. The traffic study said that the proponent would be committed to conducting a traffic monitoring program. So we recommend that the board consider conditioning the project upon a traffic monitoring program agreement with the town. Does the board have any questions on what a traffic monitoring program is?
Yes, if you would explain it to the board, it would be helpful.
Absolutely. So a traffic monitoring program is you can set up, we would recommend you do an agreement as part of their conditions of approval with the specific criteria. So if there's a concern that the actual trip generation of a building program could be different than what was estimated, because we can only use our best engineering judgment using industry standard trip rates. So some communities ask that trip generation be compared. So once a project is, 6 months or a year post-occupancy, you go out, you do traffic counts, and then their consultant can do a trip generation comparison, and if it's above a certain criteria higher than what was committed to, you'd already have those potential additional mitigation measures outlined, typically in the form of additional travel demand management measures to try to reduce traffic. So we just always recommend that the board and the applicant come together to specify not only the program requirements of what should be counted, but also the criteria and specific repercussions, so to speak, that would be imposed upon the project should the criteria be exceeded. They have actually also, subsequently, that I'll go over in a later comment, committed to a parking count, or a parking monitoring program, which is similar, except it's, you count the parking. And then number 13, MDM in their response letter provided a narrative describing the anticipated use as we requested of that secondary access. That will be the new interconnecting access between the existing Calhoun property and the adjacent hotel. So we just recommended that the proponent confirm the town's approval of that. that's, more the town board and town council's purview. Number 14, similarly for the existing secondary access that they're proposing to modify as part of their project that connects to the Ocean State job lot property, they provided the narrative describing the anticipated changes and how that may or may not affect the Ocean State job lot traffic conditions. In MDM's response letter, they did also state that if the town wanted to impose any kind of restrictions, that they'd be willing to negotiate that. I personally, as the town's traffic consultant, don't have any issue with how they've modified it, but we just wanted to let the board have the opportunity to weigh in on that.
Thank you.
Number 16, we recommend a condition requiring that the proponent implement a TDM, a travel demand management program. They committed to that in the traffic study, so we typically recommend for the communities that we work with that as part of the conditions of approval, the board approve a specific list of the TDM measures. Those are measures to try to reduce single occupancy vehicle use at a site. The next item is number 17. In their response to comments letter, MDM says the proponent would be willing to commit to coordinating with the MBTA in the future once the residential component is occupied, to coordinate with MBTA to see if there's if the MBTA would be interested in having a bus stop either at or in the site. So we just recommend that you put that as a condition of approval so that when they go to get their occupancy permit, you can remind them to do that.
Would the applicant have right to refusal on the bus station on their property?
Yes, that would have to be negotiated. So they've, as I understand it, they've committed to opening the discussion once they
Okay.
have a certain level of occupancy. But yeah, it would be the decision of the MBTA as well as the proponent if a bus stop is going to be on their property.
Thank you.
Do we have that on any of the other properties?
Not yet, but that's the big push that's going on with the MBTA right now, is to be up for Route 1 and then get back on Route 1, which would be a disaster.
Sorry, Clinton.
Oh, no. The next item is number 19. MDM provided the auto turn analyses that we requested, and it's our understanding, based on the documents we were provided by the town, that they received an email from the fire department saying that all of their issues and questions had been addressed by the site civil engineer.
That's
So
okay.
we just recommend a condition that the fire department have the opportunity to review the final site plans, just in case there's any changes, particularly when the applicant moves forward with their Mass DOT review. So if there's any changes that come out of that, we want to make sure the fire department signed off on it as well. The next item is number 21. That also relates to what I was just mentioning about Mass DOT permit process, because the property is along a state maintained roadway. They will have to modify their existing state highway access permit with the proposed changes and land uses. The applicant in MDM's response letter indicated that they have started the discussions, which is the normal process, because usually go through town review first. But they did recently start those discussions up, so the board should be aware that, they may have to make some changes to their site access and circulation pending the review of DOT.
So question to you.
Yes.
We've got they presented us with the CMP,
Okay.
construction management
Yep.
plan, to divide the site in half. Would they have to apply for a temporary in order to cross the sidewalk there on that plan?
Anything that modifies traffic, vehicular, pedestrian, bicycle that's within the state's right-of-way or even adjacent to the state's right-of-way has to be reviewed. So the Mass DOT should be given the opportunity to review the CMP to make sure that they sign off on it, and that's done in accordance with their standards as well as the town's.
Okay.
Next item is number 22, and that relates to the parking monitoring program that MDM stated in their response letter the applicant was willing to commit to. So similar to the traffic monitoring program, we recommend that the board approve specific criteria for the data collection program as well as the criteria and measures to be imposed should the criteria be exceeded. The next item is number 24. This relates to the drive-through queue facility. So they provided the drive-through queue analysis that we requested for the proposed restaurant drive-through post-construction for the new Kowloon drive-through. We did not have any issues with that. They did mention that they don't currently have a tenant identified for the southerly drive-through that's on the plan set. And they stated in MDM's response letter that they would ensure that whoever they do choose as a tenant, should they choose to use the drive-through as part of their services, would be limited to the level of demand for the drive-through queue or drive-through operations that the restaurant has. That was a bit vague to us, so we would recommend to the board that you condition it, the project, should you choose to approve it, that they have to come before the board, or at least submit a administrative letter, to the town once they identify a tenant, so the board can decide whether or not it needs to have an additional drive-through queue analysis.
So question,
Yes.
on that review, did you compare that to Article 21?
I did not. We can take a look
Okay,
at
it's
that.
because of the stacking of a drive-through.
Yep, we can look at that.
Looks like it's very close to the main road coming in.
And lastly, item number 25, MDM's traffic study indicated that they would recommend that any driveway signs and pavement markings be consistent with the manual on uniform traffic control devices. That's the industry standard that DOT generally follows those guidelines. So we agree with that recommendation, and so we would recommend the board put that in the conditions of approval, that all the markings be consistent with those standards.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. To the applicant, do you have any questions on?
No, I think pretty much, I think Courtney said we're agreeable with as far as working those conditions in. We have no problem.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions on the traffic study? Other than a ton of conditions?
No, I'm glad everybody could work together and agree, so that's nice.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions, and legal counsel is with us tonight, maybe he can help us out. So you guys said that we weren't gonna use anything from Red Roof Inn.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
You weren't gonna use any part of Red Roof Inn for the development of the plans.
Well, we're not making any revisions to what Red Roof Inn, but the Red Roof Inn is part of the project. It's part of the project.
Okay.
No, there's no physical changes being made,
Okay, so
other
you-
than the connection between the Kowloon site and the
The
Red Roof
parking
site.
lot.
That's it. That's the only
Okay.
thing.
So maybe council could intervene here and correct me if I'm wrong. If we're not using the Red Roof Inn, but you're using the density for the Red Roof Inn.
It's owned by the same group, so
It's in Article 21. It states that if the work is under $100,000 to the Red Roof Inn, it can't be used as density. Am I correct, Mr. Schuman?
Which section are you citing?
Section 21, I don't have it spelled right out. But we do have a letter from yourself questioning that. That's why I'm questioning the applicant at this time.
Did you print out Article 21 that you're?
I did, and I just did it before I left, so let me just, I think it's 21.6, if I'm correct. Under density,
Maybe read what you're referring to.
that's what I'm looking for. Site plan review under 21.6, Site plan review shall consist of the zoning bylaw, section 12.6 of site plan review. The section is enacted under Mass General Law, chapter 48, to accomplish the proposed and set forth in 1.3 of the zoning bylaws purpose of protecting. A, it says any new structure or constructed, there is an increase of 1,000 square feet for an existing structure where the final structure will have a total gross area of 3,000 square feet.
So we're not increasing the structure, so I'm not sure what you're asking.
So it's,
The red roof inn is always, first, let me say, it's always been part of the project, going back to July or.
So my
when-
question-
When we had a DRPC meeting, it's always been part of the project, nothing new.
but we
And-
changed it. One time it was part of the project for parking.
No. The red roof inn has always been part of the project, I mean, since 4 years ago, this
understand
thing
that.
started. So the only thing taking place right now is your BHCD, SD, whatever, bylaw says we're supposed to connect sites. So we've got a little teeny driveway like this big, so you could physically drive from the Kowloon site to the Red Roof Inn site. That's it. That's it. Not taking any parking spaces away, not adding any parking spaces, not touching the building, nothing.
So my question to council is, there's 7.5 acres in total.
Okay.
The Red Roof Inn has already got an occupancy that's described in it. If they don't do any work to it, is it still allowable?
It's an allowed use in the BHSD, is that what you're asking? The hotel use?
For density?
For density, well, my understanding is that they're considering this part of the development site.
Yeah.
For the purposes of establishing the allowed density.
Mhm.
That's permissible, but that brings that site under your purview as part of the general site.
Okay.
So what I would recommend in that circumstance is that if they haven't already done so, make sure that Tetra Tech is reviewing the Red Roof Inn portion of the site to ensure that it complies with the zoning, parking requirements, layout requirements and whatnot.
Okay,
Generally, that was completed.
well, it's a termination, that's what it comes down to
That would have been-
on that outage.
Determined when they built the Red Roof Inn?
It probably, I don't know when the Red Roof Inn was built, but I assume it was before 2015 when the BHSD was established, so.
Oh,
it
you're
would've been
saying just make sure that it meets the BHA, okay.
Yeah, it would have been a lawful non-conforming use. By bringing it into the site, it loses that
That's-
protection, so they need to bring it up to standard.
So just maybe help you a little bit, not going from memory, so my numbers could be off a little bit, but I think the parking required for the hotel is 0.75 spaces per unit, per hotel's unit. And we have more parking spaces than our hotel units, we exceed that. There is no function room, there is no restaurant, there is none of the other, activities that require more parking, so it clearly meets the bylaw. It's, that our requirement for parking hasn't changed. It's been in the bylaw for a long time, the 0.75 spaces per unit, hasn't changed.
And Madam Vice Chair, Mr. Chair, that was also mentioned in the first iteration of the Tetra Tech review. Parking for the hotel, offsets,
Right.
it meets the setbacks, plantings, it was all generally acceptable given its current status.
Again, it came down to interpretation, and what you're saying is different than what the bylaw is. So, okay, we'll have Tetra Tech review that.
He already did.
I already did.
And
Well, we checked the parking counts, we didn't check the site in particular against setbacks and things like that,
Yeah,
so.
you asked me about, whether they had function rooms, and and I got those answers for you. And we kind of went through the parking.
For the overall
Right.
parking count.
Correct, I agree.
But I didn't check that site particularly against this bylaw, just that site, so we'll have to run through that.
Sure.
With the understanding that it was existing.
Mr. Chair,
Sir,
just so I'm clear, so when we talk density and acreage, that is how you come up with the number of units,
correct,
and then parking is to fit that.
correct.
So it's not necessarily taking the parking, it's taking the acreage and then
For the amount
You're
of,
com-
for
you're
the
looking
amount of
at-
units.
units in here, units and parking at both.
So basically, it's an acre and a half, and I think it may figure out to 38 units, so that's why I'm asking the question.
And just to maybe refresh your memories, because it's been a while, when we went back to DRPC, at the time, the actual calculation for units, like, was 220 some odd residential units. We're at 198. We were asked to reduce it, and we said yes, and that's what we're at, 198. So we're under,
And you stayed at one bedroom.
right, all one bedrooms, and we're under the density, what we're allowed by density.
Yep.
If we use the density from the Red Roof Inn.
Yeah,
If you use the acre and a half, that's.
yeah,
But
exactly.
they
yeah,
still,
cl-
they
clearly.
still scaled it down.
Right, no, I understand
They-
that. I understand what it
Clearly,
was and where it is now, so. But I just didn't know in the acre and a half what happens. If it was not allowable with that acre and a half, then.
Well,
we'd have an
I
issue.
mean, the density, don't forget now, this is grandfathered in the 2019 or 2018 zoning. And the density is 1 unit per, no, 30 units per acre.
That's correct.
So
That
that's,
was the reason for the freeze.
right, we froze the zoning back, exactly.
If that was the case, it would have been like 50 units or 48 units.
Whatever the
But
calculation is, if it's an acre and a half
yeah.
times 30, you know, whatever the calculation is, that's 45, whatever.
Okay. If you would, I have one other question. You had talked last meeting that you were gonna seek a reprieve from the selectmen on the sidewalks, on the,
Well,
on the,
that's Attorney Maggie would speak about that.
Well, we haven't reached that point.
well, the selectmen doesn't give you the reprieve for the sidewalks, so just, that comes from the planning board?
We think, and looking at it a little more closely, we think it would be a waiver from you people, but I haven't reached
Okay,
the final.
no, I'm just trying to
Condition-
keep the ball going,
Right.
that's all I'm trying to do.
Which body, which board has the
Mhm.
authority to potentially give that relief if it's requested?
So on the parking plan, you don't have any planters in place?
No, we do have planters in place.
Oh, you do?
We have
And you're
a
still-
we have a lot of planters, but not as many as required under the BSCD, whatever that zoning is. We don't have all of them. We intend on asking for relief from that, whether it be from this board or the selectmen board, that's whatever. The
So that
point,
would
the
be
point we're
back
trying to
here.
make on that request, just so I can kind of just talk about it, we've all been to the site now, it's basically a sea of asphalt, beach to beach. And we have lots of green spaces around the back of this place, we have a lot more green space. Matter of fact, we exceed the green space by almost 2 to 1 on the plan, even though we don't have those planters, because we have other green space, so. We think it's a legitimate request, you know, let's just have additional parking.
And wasn't there something on sidewalks as well?
I don't know, you mentioned sidewalks, I don't understand where
I
that came
thought we
from.
had brought sidewalks
have any-
come up into that discussion about eliminating some sidewalks.
No?
I don't recall that, but
I don't think
we'll.
those sidewalks, it was planters, it was like
I know that,
9
I know that
planters,
Tetra Tech
right?
wanted a sidewalk from the coming, if you're walking on south, like say from the hotel towards Kowloon's, they wanted a better connection to the site, so we added a sidewalk on the plan, which Steve had us do, to bring us into the site without crossing the new entrance onto Kowloon's. So a pedestrian could walk down and come into the Kowloon's restaurant eventually without crossing that, you know, that main entrance. So we added that, so we're not asking for any waivers and sidewalks. no.
Yeah, I think the comment regarding the sidewalks was related to the less than, you know, if there's greater than 4 parking bays, the regulations say, you know, there's gotta be a 15-foot planting island with a 5-foot sidewalk in it.
Okay.
So it sounds like they're gonna ask for, you know, either a waiver or whatever process they have to go through to get the board's approval on relief from that. But I think we gotta understand like what the board's feeling is on either, because we'd like to kind of wrap up, you know, dealing with a lot of these comments, whether, you know, they provide like a final letter and a final response from us, or whether they submit formal waiver requests to the board. I think we gotta figure out how that's gonna work.
Okay.
And make a determination on whether or not that's gonna be, you know, whether those waivers are gonna be approved.
So do you guys think you guys could work together and?
Well, I think a lot of
A
it,
meeting and iron out those final details and find out, like, this was great with what you're saying, we should put in for conditions and finalize that with the site plan and the master plan, where you guys feel like we're almost there?
Well, I think it comes down to whether or not the board's gonna give the relief from those regulations, so
So how many things are you looking for relief from? Just those planters, is
It's,
what I
it's,
thought.
it's, it's a section, okay, I'm probably the wrong now, I think it's section 15 or something in the bylaw that talks about these parking, there's a number of little things, they're all in the same section. Basically, we're looking for
I think
relief
it's
from
9.
that section. Because that wants a, I think it's every 15 parking spaces, they want to break for a no planter strip. So you can put a tree there, not to get ruined by the salt when they plow when they salt the driveway, and then do another one, et cetera, et cetera. And also, you know, like Steve said, some of them want a sidewalk in it, you know, which that was kind of redundant. If you remember the site where we designed it, we got these 2 buildings, and we have like 4 separate parking lots. Everything's spread out, so no one's walking across a sea of asphalt, you know, and it's the shortest routes possible. So it allows us to exceed the parking spaces required, which we think makes sense for everybody. You know, if we put that in there, we'll be cutting out parking spaces, still be able to meet the density, but we have less spaces.
And you've created those green spaces
And we got those
to make
huge
up
green
for it
spaces
in
around the
back
front,
and around
planting, we have all
property.
kinds of landscaping. I mean, the site's gonna look much better, you know, aesthetically than
Because
it
right
looks
now
now.
it's just all asphalt.
It's a sea of
Those
asphalt.
planters were part of the original 2015 BHSD amendment, and I was part of the group that, you know, helped write all of that. And
I
it
spoke to
really
you about that.
contemplated a much larger scale type of development, because now we see this potential requirement posted coming up in small, you know, buildings and developments, and it doesn't really make any sense. So I think on one of them, I saw the leaf with the Board of Appeals, which wasn't necessary. It hasn't been built, so it doesn't matter. But again, we'd have to pin down, because you're going to see this, I think, again, in different projects. These planters sound
Because this
good,
comes up
but-
with every we have, so, and no one wants to do them, but why is it Article 21 then?
Oh, like Rich says, when you draw out these articles, you do articles, you put your ideas in there, but until you actually put them in practice, you don't really see how it works. So,
I mean, you know, Bob Luongo, Peter Duran was in, Paul Ruff, it sounded great, but I don't think we foresaw that requirement could be really not very useful, to be honest.
None of them probably drove a plow truck.
I'd like to have them all back just to go through these with them, because I don't know what they were thinking on some of it, so.
So if I can make a recommendation, I suggest the applicant come up with a list of items that you would like relief from.
Right.
Just so the board has something to act on, and then, you know, there can be, you know, formal discussion on it, whether or not.
But jurisdictionally, I think this board has a rather good board of selectmen, but it's like on the height special permit. I don't think that should be with the board of selectmen, but it is.
Yeah.
I think it should be with the planning board, so.
And the drive-through, the double drive-through, which I have a couple of questions to the architect on. Finish this, so.
I'm not an architect, so I'll step back.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just before you leave that topic, if you were preparing to, if you'd like, I'm happy to speak with town council to get his view on that question of the jurisdiction.
Yep.
I'll note that Article 20 doesn't specifically say that the planning board has the authority to waive these kind of technical requirements or plan requirements. It speaks to your authority to waive filing requirements, but not technical performance standards.
Well,
So-
basically what it says, if I'm correct, and I've said this before, they tell us not to give any waivers on anything that's in Article 21. So it makes it
The
very
word waiver
difficult.
isn't mentioned at all.
Right,
So
no,
if-
but permission it says.
That may require Board of Appeals
Okay.
approval for those kind of waivers.
Okay,
But I'll speak with town
just
council
looking for
about that.
clarification.
Yeah, that would be very helpful to have that direction.
Just to add one more thing onto what Steve was saying. So a list of where the waivers are, but maybe a visual, something on a plan showing, hey, so you have a list that says what you're looking for, but then showing it on something to make it easier to see might be kind of helpful. You're talking about 9, or I believe it was 9 islands, but kind of attaching one document to the other to, because if you want to have the decision, having something showing what you're deciding on at the same time, I feel would be very helpful.
Don't disagree. Anything we get is helpful.
Yeah, we do something similar in other towns that well, other towns do something similar. They have a formal, waiver request form or whatever you wanna call it. And then it asks for specific criteria as to why that waiver should be approved, so. Might be something that the board might think about, enacting,
If it's our authority.
you can even make that decision.
Yeah, if it's not, then that would all be for naught, so.
Then that would be town meeting, I guess, to decide that.
Town meeting, or Board of
As
Health.
an amendment.
Okay, anything else?
So question to the architect. Definition of a structure. Could you please enlighten me to that? What makes a building a building?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Michael McEwen with Dennis Myers, the Architects, Manchester, New Hampshire. You had a question?
So, my question is, what makes a building a building?
Well, I think you're implying our last conversation, sort of where we left off, and there was a bit of discussion there. Where a contiguous structure is considered a building. Where there's a bridge here, and we have a piece of the building in the back and a piece in the front, what dictates two buildings versus one in code is a firewall. Separation, a fire separation. In the case of a fire, they have separate fire alarm systems, separate fire protection systems, doors close, and people egress in two different directions. At this time, there's no reason for us to separate the back piece of the building and the front piece of the building in such a manner.
Why is that?
It is under the size requirements to do so.
It has its own foundation though, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So, it's a standalone building basically, other than the walkway, the catwalk.
So, in layman's, I would say absolutely. But in terms of the code review, and in terms of fire ratings, open perimeter, getting people out, occupancy in the case of a fire, height and stories and building area, in terms of the code, we assess it all as one building.
Okay, in Article 21, once again, looking under the setback sections, how tall is that building? 5 stories?
The building itself, that building 2, I think you're referring to, is a total of 6 stories. We
The
have
small addition, the annex to the back, as you called it.
it's
Because there are 2 different heights. That
yeah, I think it's 1 story up in the back. So
It looks taller by your rendering.
I think we're 4 or 5. It isn't. The roof lines are. If you look at the elevation and that, actually, Mr. Chair, the last page of that set, you'll see a section and elevation. They are the same height. Maybe if you keep going, it's a
That's the
flat.
last page.
It's a flat elevation in there that gives all of the.
It has an elevation showing it as a connected building.
Yep.
Like 2 party walls for the full height.
Yeah, it's connected with a bridge.
But that's the bridge. But in the rendering,
You're upside down.
I know, I'm just trying to, so that he can see it at the same time.
Yeah, so
In the rendering, it shows that it has a wall system between it. So I can see it. But on your aerial view looking down through it, it doesn't have those walls.
So I can speak to that. So the floor datums are the same, front to back, and the roof lines are generally the same as well.
So,
Because we're bound by the special permit that we applied for ages ago, we can't be any taller than that.
so
for
here it is
screening.
here, if you want to take a look. So this appears to be the drive-through, if I'm correct.
That's correct, yeah.
This
So-
here is showing full elevations of living space, and it's above the height of the,
So it looks that way from the perspective, but this floor is actually the same height as that floor.
okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't, there's nothing called out sizes
So
it's,
there is a elevation and a section submitted to the planning board that has the floor datums on it,
okay.
and you won't find a separate one for that back piece. It's exactly the same height.
Because there's nothing indicating how many units, there's nothing that indicates how much parking is needed for
So,
it.
so we've submitted that to the planning board.
Yes, we
yeah.
do have that, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, there
Yeah.
is nothing.
On the
Noted.
renderings, no, but on the plans, we've identified all the
Even on
units.
plans, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's there. It was a condition of, I think, 2 meetings ago where it was requested to be added, so we added those.
So once again, going by Article 21, it's gonna haunt me in my days.
And they
There is,
changed the windows in those
Actually,
back buildings to be.
I do- I do actually have that view here, I think, that I can pull up to
That would
show,
help.
show you if you'd like.
setbacks.
Let me just confirm. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have an easel set up, but if it pleases Mr. Chair and the board. So, yeah, so here's your datums, your floor datums. So this is the front of the building.
Yep.
Our max roof height is 67.8 as per the special permit. This is the glass bridge, so this is the same roof height in the back. It's just at that perspective.
There is an open space above the bridge, though.
All the roof height of the entire building is all the same. The bridge, this piece of the building.
So there's a
front.
bridge under before.
Yes, yep, except the drive-through.
Okay.
Yep.
That changes everything.
Yep, and then, you were asking the unit numbers, how many units per building?
Yeah.
So on the plans, we have those.
I think I got that one. So, the reason why I brought that to your attention, because it's in the lone building and there's no connection structurally. It calls for a 40-foot setback.
Yeah, it's all one building
So-
structurally, yep.
What you're showing for an aerial view of it on the plan here, it's open. And then on this plan here,
No, they're connected with a structure, a bridge and floors, yeah.
that changes. See what I'm saying here? It doesn't show it here.
It doesn't there,
No, but
Mr.
you just showed it to me
Yeah.
on this
so
one.
that-
I couldn't, I can't understand it, because it's like three-dimensional. So it's kind of spun
Right.
into the back of the building, doesn't show the extension.
Yeah, and that's why we provided 10 different perspectives of this
Okay.
development, because it's quite a thing.
So if that's the case, it's different. It's structurally supported by the front building.
It is, yep,
Okay.
yep. And that break that's not shown on that plan right there is a little deceiving, but that is the 2 drive-through aisles that go under the bridge, and that's why you don't see the 2 connected.
You're saying 2 drive-through aisles?
It's a drive-through and then a bypass, so
It
it's
only has
2
11
lanes.
feet there, though.
It's 2 lanes. Under the bridge?
Yeah.
So we have 14 feet under that bridge. We have a minimum for fire apparatus and ambulances and, yep.
Is there parking under there?
No.
You're showing parking spaces here, though. On the back corner, on one of the drawings. I got about 20 drawings here so far, so.
So there was in a very old version of this, when we started, before we reduced the unit count, when we had 220, we were tucking some parking under the building, but when we dropped those extra 20 units and made that building much smaller in the back, we're not needing to do that anymore.
Because I think maybe it's C3, but it calls out 24 spaces and looks like under the gray building, the spaces continue.
Right,
So this plan is July 21st,
okay. So
2025.
maybe I stand corrected. I'm hearing that I think we do have, I guess, a dozen or so. I forget how many, but
But there's no count.
adjacent to the lobby.
What I was saying earlier, there is no count for the 18 units, I believe you said last meeting that were gonna be in this building?
No, there's more than that. I think there's 39 or 40 units, but that's in the 198.
That's included with the
It
front
is,
building?
yep, absolutely.
Well, to your point, Mr. Chair, is that if there's parking, does that get narrow for the drive-through under there?
Well, it,
Which is,
The aisle
between the buildings is 20 feet underneath the bridge.
There's a 20-foot aisle between where the drive aisles
And the
are.
thought on those parking spots is there would be employee parking, that, you know, they would be coming and going, so.
If you look at the latest plan here, this, the plan that we have from August, it's showing 2 aisles. It's showing
Yes.
it,
Yep,
but it doesn't appear, it looks like the line is going through the building. So, and there's no measurements, not on this one, and I don't see it in the other ones. So, when you scale it, it come out to about 11 feet. That's why I said 11 feet.
So,
I
so
scaled
underneath,
it
you're
up.
having, you're saying it's 20 feet, you're gonna have a drive-through, a bypass, and allowed parking, all underneath there?
No, no parking under the building.
No, I think he
do
said.
you wanna speak to that?
There is,
No, that's-
parking's shown underneath.
It's showing on the drawing.
Yeah, that's correct. So the thought is you have a drive-through aisle, bypass aisle, and some parking. And the idea, we understood that, you know, that was a drive-through, that was gonna be employee parking that would be used, you know, it wouldn't be people coming and going, it would be reserved for employee parking.
And is that parking,
Is that's not what these plans are showing you.
They are 90-degree angle parking, yeah.
and how many spots is that? 12, you said?
I think it's a little bit more than that. I have to look at the plans. I don't know off the top of my head. Glasses time. That's
24.
24?
24 spots.
There's 24 spaces in the aisle, there's what, 7 that are under the building?
Oh, under the building, yeah,
Yeah.
there's probably about 7.
6 or 7, 8.
Now, for the spaces under the building, how is the building supported through there? Is it columns to grade?
Right, between the parking spaces, yeah.
So I would recommend either a 2-foot strip between the parking. Cause what's the, you know the spacing on those by any chance? Is it every third row or third space or?
Roughly 3 to 4 spaces.
Okay.
Generally, it's a 30-foot bay.
Cause I know those typically become an issue with people striking them and those are all impact.
Yeah, we can provide for that too. We can give you a 2-foot at any building.
Yeah,
support.
I'd recommend that just so
Yep.
people don't hit them.
Yep. And we generally paint them, and they're concrete encased at the bottom.
And those are made to withstand impacts.
Oh, yeah. Apologies, Mr. Chair, I didn't quite know what you were referring to. at the
Yeah, I mean,
beginning,
it's just,
but
I brought what I had,
Yep,
and I didn't see
quite-
what
quite a bit there.
there is. So it gets a little confusing. So, one thing I would suggest is we try to tighten all this up.
So, well, I can clarify that. If you look at my plan, which is an architectural site plan, it doesn't show it this way. It doesn't shade over
Do we
where
have
the
that
building.
plan?
Yeah, that's the first one you were looking at. If you go right to the front,
This one here.
the one that's right next to Jeannie. Yeah, that
This one
one.
here.
So that's you were talking over that in the beginning. And,
Right,
Yep,
that's where we started.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. But there's no detail on how this building is up in the air. I'm gonna take it that you have to put certain amount of it, foundation in order to get the elevators in.
We do absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. So where you see the footprints is where the building's going to land.
So is there a lobby
There is.
to
Yep.
the elevator?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if you go to the floor plan pieces of that set, which is the next page, it shows
That's
the lobby.
enclosed by glass? or-
Yep. It shows the lobby, the
Okay.
stairs. Yep. Your mail room. All
Okay.
those pieces.
Because this one still shows parking under the building.
Yeah, there is a little bit of parking. on
Yeah.
that
6
building.
spaces,
that's
7
what's
spaces.
being-
8 spaces or
Yeah.
something.
Right.
In the test pits, you guys did the test pits, it didn't appear to hit too much lead,
No,
so you don't
there
think
was
you'll be
nothing.
blasting?
Nothing
I
encountered.
didn't find any ledge.
That's good, good
And-
news for the neighbors.
I'm not gonna say you're not gonna find any ledge, but if you find some.
Well, I saw them up there digging the next morning after the meeting, so
Yeah.
they were there. Any other questions for the board?
Just so I understand, the way to get into the 90-degree spaces underneath would be using in and out of the bypass lane, right?
It would be,
Okay, I get you now.
which is not recommended, to be truthfully honest, because the back out, you can't, if you're in the middle, you can't see what's coming until your driver's windows. So that's, makes it a little difficult. We had that on another project, but we had to change the whole thing.
Through the drive-through, will there be any curbing to determine, like, between the drive-through lane and the bypass lane? Will you have a curb or anything?
Generally, it would just be striped.
Stripe, okay. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
when it's a one-way flow, like they're suggesting, the board could consider having them evaluate the feasibility of doing angled parking. And then that could withstand if you only count for the 10-foot bypass.
Okay. That's what I said earlier about the distance on the stack up.
Yes, so typically when you have 90-degree parking,
Yeah.
from an operations standpoint, you want a 24-foot wide aisle if it's
Yep.
two-way flow.
Mhm.
In this case, if we want to eliminate or not account for the drive-through lane itself, because cars might be parked there, and only look at the bypass lane as 10 feet, that's a little smaller than we normally like to see, in which case you can consider angled parking from an operations perspective, because it is just one-way flow. But they would have to evaluate the feasibility of that from the island
And
standpoint.
that would take away some of their spaces, right? If you did angle, how many would you lose?
It was a few.
They were saying.
Are
that
those
they wanted
just,
that.
are you at a point now where you need every space to meet the
No,
count, or could you
look, we
afford to
have-
lose that?
We have more spaces than we need to meet the zoning.
What is your total number of spaces?
I don't know, 335, I think. Look at, it's on the second page of them.
Of
You
which
don't have all these
drawing?
numbers
It's
in the
all,
top
they
of
all
your head?
change.
I don't know, this isn't the only job we work on, you know. Hang on. Okay, right here.
425.
443 spaces.
Oh, 440.
And is that just on this side, or is that including the?
That's everything. And the breakdown's right on here. It tells you hotel, tells you building 1, building 2. I mean, it couldn't be broken down anymore. Interior, because there are some interior on one of the buildings.
So there's 108 in the hotel? Is that what it is?
That's what it says, yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we don't include that.
What do you mean?
Technically, you
Technically, we
you do.
don't include that.
Well, I don't, chicken or the egg. It's part of, the hotel is part of the density. And your zoning allows us to have like so many uses, at least 2 or 3 uses, whatever. So you get the hotel, you get the residential, you get the commercial. So it's there.
But it's already deeded for what they have as a hotel.
Right, but I'm saying, so when you do the calculation, I got a hotel of so many units, I get residential, so many residential units, I get so many square feet or so many restaurant seats. How many spaces do I need? I need whatever the number is there, your hands on it, whatever.
443. So we don't
Well,
need
no.
443.
This is required,
Yeah.
425, we got
425.
443, so whatever the math is, we have extra spaces.
And that's without the planters.
So if
You've
it's,
already
a-
taken
That's what doing the planters the way we want. We do have planters, don't make it sound like we don't have them. You can see right here. You can see all the planters we have here. What we don't have, for example,
Every 15.
your regulations say every 15 feet. See right here?
Right.
We got 11 spaces, we got 18, that's 18 spaces.
Okay.
So we'd have to lose, for 3
Lose.
lousy spaces, it
To
just
put
lose.
the island in.
Yeah, it just, it just doesn't make sense. To me, I'm saying 17 spaces here, oh,
No, we're just trying to understand what you're
Right, no,
trying
I
to do
am.
against
I know.
what our regulations are.
and this is all the green space I was talking about.
Yeah.
That right now is all asphalt. It's just
Right.
all paved. So,
We're just trying to keep this ball
No,
rolling
hey,
as fast as we can, so.
same with me, I'm supposed to be in Hampshire right now, so.
317?
And we have 8 extra.
Okay, okay. So you could, if you, okay,
Not a problem at all.
I think that.
We have 317
Yeah,
total.
we could angle those spaces, but honestly, the 24 feet, like Courtney pointed out, that's really for two-way traffic. This is one-way traffic going through there, so I think 20 feet's more than enough for,
But you have to account for the drive-through, yes.
No, I know, but I'm saying we have the drive-through
It
plus-
cuts the bypass lane down to like 10 feet, right?
well,
Which is recommended what?
depends how you look at it, but that's fine. If you want them angled, we'll angle them. I don't care. Not gonna lose that many spaces. We'll lose a few spaces. We can angle them. So,
And they're not assigned parking spaces.
they're not assigned.
So it's a
at this
free-for-all
point-
when it
at this
comes to
point-
the
At this point in
restaurant.
time, it's
Try
not
to
assigned.
do-
I suspect what will probably happen, and again, I'm not the developer, but they probably will sign some spaces for their residents and stuff at some point in time. I don't know.
And some for staff, you said, those.
It's way too early in the game to be doing that right now.
If I may,
Yes.
MDM did say that they were gonna consider, or the applicant was gonna consider designating a certain number of spaces, I believe in that area, if a drive-through order is taking longer than expected. Like if someone arrives too early, it's not ready yet. So,
So we're talking one of the the busiest restaurants, according to CNN and all the other channels. It's, you look what you have now and look what we're cutting it down to. I just don't want cars parking in the 24-foot egress lanes, and the Saugus police are up there on a constant basis,
I have a question.
yanking them out, so it's just,
I
we're
have a
trying to,
question. Irrelevant, not really though. Is it true that you guys are opening in Revere?
yes, they are.
Well, that might take some of the traffic to Revere, so that'll alleviate some traffic.
That, plus the fact that this drive-through is not like McDonald's or Burger King. It's not gonna be, you're gonna have to call ahead of time or
Yeah.
It's only
ahead of
for
time.
pickup.
It's gonna be pickup, scheduled time, they're gonna come in, like Whitney says,
Which-
there might be an order or two that's take a little bit longer to prepare, so they're gonna have a couple, like McDonald's does, okay,
Yeah.
parking, it's number 3 over there, and we'll bring it out to you.
Yeah.
But you're
That
not
makes
gonna have
sense.
people just driving in and going to an order board and ordering,
So that'll help you with
Yeah.
your stacking.
Right, exactly, because you have to order it, and it's like, instead of going inside to pick it up, you pick it up from the drive-through lane, but you have to
I
order it
think
ahead of time.
Five Guys has that system now. It's pickup only after you've ordered online or by phone.
Yeah, Chipotle, I think, does that
Yeah,
now too.
Chipotle does
A
it.
lot of them are doing that now, yeah. So that makes
That
sense.
works a lot better for this
Yeah,
condition, that's for sure.
it's better for everybody.
Okay, so we just tighten up some of the language and the wants and you can narrow that down, work together, and then
Yeah, so I think if we could get one
Well,
final
still-
letter, I think there were items that we had recommended, you speak with the board. I think we'll get one just so we can wrap up all these comments.
Because I'm a little confused, so.
Yeah, I think we all are as far as the relief goes.
It could.
The relief I'm all set with, I know what to do on that, I'm all set with that.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see what more you guys are gonna wanna, what this board's gonna wanna see from us before they're prepared to close a hearing and make a decision. So I'm just trying to find out what it sounds like I gotta change the plan for angle parking, I can do that, that's simple, we can do that, this week, whatever. I don't see any more plan changes to make, because the plan really hasn't changed very much when we submitted it, it's really been the same plan. Some minor little things, you got a sidewalk here and there, so,
So we'll leave that up to legal counsel. We'll get a determination through our council with the town council and see what authority we have to
yeah,
eliminate.
no, I understand that, I'm just trying to find out, Mr. Chairman, what you as board members wanna see from us in addition to that, in terms of plan changes or whatever. I don't think I really heard tonight was angle spaces by the drive-through, which is fine. And we'll adjust the numbers and we'll, take some spaces away.
So just to add one more thing on what I was saying before, if you're talking about removing those traffic islands, you talked about,
Not removing them, not adding,
or not,
not adding any.
however you wanna say it. You also talked about the, so we were looking at this, and if they are not being put in, I guess our question was what the intent was, and we believe it was for aesthetics and for, to create pervious area. And you're telling us that you're adding pervious, you're adding pervious area in on the site. So if you could kind of show where you were adding extra in, so that way the board could feel confident that you weren't losing pervious area to try and make the site a little bit better.
Let me just kind of summarize it a little bit. The entire site is impervious today. There may be a couple blades of grass here and there if you look really hard, but it's basically impervious. So we're having way more pervious afterwards than is there now. We're not leaving them up because we're trying to avoid putting some pervious areas down. We're leaving them up because we think they're unnecessary. And as Mr. Attorney Magnin pointed out, when this was drafted up, there was a vision of how this should work. As we're putting it in place now, we're seeing not just on this site, but on other sites, it's really problematic. So we're saying we think we have a legitimate reason for requesting relief. Now, whether it's from this board or the selectmen or whoever, I don't know, I'm not, the attorneys can handle that out. But, yeah, it's really that simple.
I'm not saying no, I'm saying to add on to your argument, you're saying that you don't think they make sense there. So, and I'm saying, I think if the intent is for impervious area, and you're telling me you're adding impervious area, you're adding.
I think, not to interrupt you, Mr. Baldwin, but I think it's clear here, just looking at the site with the plan, that all the added green all around and all
I
that.
was just saying, in my mind, it made it simpler to say, we're not doing this, but we're doing this part over here, and therefore the intent of that requirement is being met.
And, Madam Chair, to that point, and Mr. Chair, on page 2 of the site plan set, it has all of the regulations required parking versus provided. The impervious coverage on the site's allowed to be 85%. We're at 81%, so we're 4% below the impervious coverage. But the real tell here, to your point about the green space, is your minimum open space requirement, God bless you, is 10%, and we're almost 20.
We're at 19.
So the green space here is 19.7%, so it's just, to Paul's point, we're allocating
So
it
we don't
on the
really need more
outside.
green space for sacrificing parking space, it's a pretty low green space here and there.
I would add
Like the-
one thing on that, you know, when you're looking at that, if it's 2D, those retaining walls are shown, whether it's the top or bottom course. But if that is a battered wall, you know, that could be 2 or 3 feet, you know, horizontally, that would, you know, eat up some of that area, so.
Yeah, depending on the wall, whatever type of wall they do, it could get bad.
Yeah, I think, cause there's like, I think it's like 14 feet out by the front and, but even from constructability, it'd be good to identify, is that the bottom and you're building up, or is that the top and it's gonna go out?
Yeah, I think right now we show about 2 feet of width of the wall, so it might be a little bit different, yeah, as the design finally comes through.
But negligible in terms of the open space category,
Right.
it's probably less than 1%.
But when we're talking 0.1%, it adds up in, will they need a stormwater permit?
Yes,
So that'll be a good figure to show for that, you know, in 2D, but, we have seen where those taller walls, they really, it's only a couple inches every course, but, when you get up to,
Yeah, depending on what type
10,
of block
20.
is used, it could be like an inch of course.
We have no drawing on any of that for site work.
well, they,
I mean, it shows the block, but we have
put
no
an
structural
example.
stamp on it.
Right, it is a comment that they will need to.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
design,
that's a
but-
building permit issue, that's not a planning issue, I don't think.
Yeah.
They do have a detail of it, they're saying that they're gonna need a structural stamp on it, so as part of this process, I wouldn't see that as necessary.
And I do agree with Todd that, you know, and, yeah, maybe the islands aren't feasible or practical, but just as a show of, hey, we took them out, but we made this pervious, even if the site is, meets the minimum requirement, just kind of,
Just to add on
Helps
to
the
that,
logic.
you're talking about impervious, I mean, right now, there is no stormwater management system.
Well, we're not disagreeing with you, we're
No,
just
I
saying,
just to,
we're
you know,
saying, it helps us if you point out how much you're improving the site, that you're going past what's required, and therefore,
Well, that's-
you're meeting the intent of that regulation. It makes it easier for me to see.
No, I understand, that's
Yeah,
where the
but-
stormwater management comes in, we're, you know,
Yeah.
we're going over and above, what's required, and we, you know, come up with a significant, you know, stormwater.
And I guess I just see that making a better argument to the board.
so we'll submit a detailed argument for that relief. I'm not sure if this board has the authority or the right person to grant that relief, but we'll prepare it, so whether whoever,
It is, this board has done it in the past, but I'm not sure,
okay.
as
Well, we'll prepare-
Attorney Schumer said, so
We'll prepare it anyway.
I'll let them work that, the
Whoever has
legal
to
end of
deal
it.
with it, but you'll see it anyways.
Yeah.
Better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Correct.
And we'll get a determination for you on the 2 egresses, that the 2 roads that are now going into the opposite properties.
As they relate to Article 21?
It's in Article 21 to
Yes.
be 35 feet in width with the
Yeah, we can
sidewalk
take a look at that.
along the side of that road.
Okay, well, now I know what you're asking me about the sidewalk. So the connection to Ocean State's been there since, I don't know, as long
We
as
still
I-
don't have a signed letter saying they accept. I know it's deeded, but we've
Yeah,
run
no,
into
but I'm
this
saying,
just
but, so
recently.
there was a comment from Tetra Tech, Steve made a comment about needing a sidewalk, and I pointed out that there's a sidewalk a few feet away, right along Route 1, because I think so close to Route 1.
But it doesn't take the grade down into the next parking lots.
Well,
that's-
it goes along
Again,
the
it's
street, there's the
intent and
parking
it's-
lot.
The grade of that sidewalk is actually flatter than the grade to cut through there. It actually gets steeper here. Your
Right, so I
sidewalk
don't know
is
why you'd
better
want
off
a
where
side,
it
I
is.
don't know why you'd want a sidewalk in there. If you want one, I'll put one in there, but I don't know why
Well,
you'd
that's,
want one.
it's not what we want, it's what Article 21
No,
is
I
stating.
would argue that a sidewalk there would probably make more people wanna walk and cut through the parking lot, which is more dangerous than where they walk now on.
What
Not
if,
that
what
it's
if people
less
from the
dangerous on
hotel
the-
wanna walk up the hill to the restaurant? They're walking in the street. So it's
The-
twofold.
What?
The
What?
new-
I
the
thought you
new
were
one.
talking about the side, I thought
No,
you were
I'm
talking
talking
about from
about either
Ocean
one.
State.
Well, it's either one, it's required by Article 21 to be on both egresses. And I don't think that the one heading in the same direction, northbound, has the problem with the lights. I think the one that's heading southbound into the northbound traffic lane, if you take a look at here.
So you're saying for both driveways where they're coming, where they're meeting, they should have a sidewalk on there?
These are required to have sidewalks to an open space of
I
35
gotta look
feet.
at that, I'm not sure.
This one here this is the sidewalk, this is job lots. This is, this is calling for a 50-foot separation from the highway with a 15%, allowable 15% grade, which we like to see 10. But the direction here takes you into the building, it's not a straight downward path. But this is my question here,
We didn't change that.
is the separation between the highway
That's the way it is now.
and the egress.
No, not the-
And it calls for 35 feet, and that's a sidewalk on both sides of 5
I'm
feet.
reading that regulation right now, it says the easement, it says the easement between the driveway and the closest adjacent lot shall have a minimum width of 35 feet.
the easement,
So it doesn't
okay.
say the driveway, it says the easement.
The easement, and that's what that is, it's an easement.
But the
Maybe
easement
not on
can
this
be
end because
just like
they
a-
own the property, but it's an easement on job lot side.
But that's just the
property.
paper layout of whatever that
Right.
access is, it's not necessarily the width of the road.
Right. But for foot traffic, you would want to see a sidewalk.
Yeah,
Is there a sidewalk required? I don't think there is.
I don't know, I didn't.
It's interpretation, and what does it say, how do you interpret the, on the traffic coming the with the separation of 50 feet?
Say it again, I'm not following you.
They're looking for a separation, a minimum separation on these driveways to be 50 feet back into the property. And I'm trying to say, why would it be, and common sense would say, if you're running parallel with Route 1, the headlight traffic coming down through here would be facing the cars that are going northbound.
That's existing.
What's that?
That's already existing, that.
Yeah, it's
No, this
existing.
is new. This is
No,
new.
I'm talking-
This is existing. Right here. This is
That's
the
the,
existing.
is that the sidewalk?
This is the road that comes down. There used to be a Dunkin' Donuts right there.
Yeah, that's where it is today.
Yeah, that's existing. The only thing is, it's 20 feet wide. They gotta make it 24 as a minimum, if it's not required under section 21 to make this 35 feet. So, again, that would be another waiver.
So, to just to your point though, John,
Yep.
right now, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, this whole thing is all pavement right now.
Yep.
So as I recall, when we had the meetings with the police department and fire and all that kind of jazz, right? They clearly wanted us to stay. They said they use it all the time, because they find when they're for calls, they can go this way or go that way or whatever, which is great. You talk about there's headlights that today would go right through the parking lot down here. I mean,
But this
is
was
all
put
parking
in,
lot.
as Richard said, how long ago was that easement granted? In the 40s?
55?
1955, these are since 2018. The change of
So
the
what is
zoning
it,
So I
board.
don't-
just so, I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say, but this is the drive through, that,
This
right
is-
now, from between Ocean State and here,
No,
this is the
right
way
here.
to
This
cut
is-
through?
No, this is all open parking lot. This is,
Right,
Come here, just,
but this is the way you cut up there, right?
right here. See
so,
this?
see this right
This
here?
is right to the curb, and
This is-
then it turns.
This is the Ocean State,
Yeah, the one, the little.
right.
the-
Right.
And this is all pavement right here.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So if you're in your car and you were gonna go to Ocean State, you would drive right along here and you would do that.
Yeah, mhm.
Yeah,
And today.
that's how I get around. I don't go the other way, but
You gotta go.
I live right here, so.
So this is really the same thing. This is nothing different. It's nothing new. It's-
Right, that's what I'm saying, so
No,
what are you
but-
asking them to do, change that, the way it?
No, I'm just, what it's stating in this,
So, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Just to touch on,
Courtney.
originally,
No,
the architect had a road coming out there.
So the easement is not pavement width, to Steve's
Yeah,
point.
Steve's already made that very clear.
Yep, so that aisle just has to be the 20 or 24 foot that's required for dual traffic.
Right,
The easement is your physical allowance on deeded allowance for right of way, but it's not the actual outlet.
And there's a question of, should we put a sidewalk on here? There's a sidewalk right here. You can see,
Yeah, I
it's
understand
5 feet
that.
away.
but what is this vegetation here? It's just green
This
grass?
is green, it's gonna be grass. This is so small, it'd be probably just for grass, but, I mean, there are plantings and stuff. We have a landscape plan on the set.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be any plantings in here, because it's so close to the highway.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, once this starts at the 15-degree grade, I don't think this is at 15, I think it's less than 7. But once this starts, this pulls away from the walkway. So people would walk down this way to come back. I'm just, there it is, it's, I don't make the rules.
Yeah, no, well, I'll have
That's
to
what
look at
it,
that.
that's what it's stating, so I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, we can take a look at that.
Okay. So are there any other questions? Todd?
Just because of the recent storms, I believe you guys had put in snow storage. I was wondering if you could do, basically give us a number of the area that you would be plowing versus your snow storage, just to kind of have a feel for how that is. In the past, we've just asked for snow storage, and then we've run into problems, or I've run into problems of how much is enough. And some people have said that they haul stuff off-site, and I guess that we'd be using that kind of to figure out, if you are, do you have more than enough? Or if you're plowing stuff up there, are we talking about like a 10-foot pile of snow for like a 4-inch storm, or just to sort of give us some sort of an idea of how the two compare?
We agreed at the last meeting to truck it off-site if it became an issue. We can't limit parking for obvious reasons, so it's.
I guess I'm trying to throw a number on, so.
So a 2-inch storm you would leave on site. 20-inch storm.
Maybe we're making it a
we'd
little
have to truck
complicated.
it
Can we
off.
make it easy? Why don't you tell us the maximum height pile of snow you want on site? No more than 10 feet or 15, whatever the number is.
Where would you put the snow though?
Well, we showed it on our plans. It's on the drawings.
We
The
have
snow
that in a
storage.
lot
So-
of other projects, and they're all into the planting.
Well, I mean,
beds.
it's on there. I will tell you that one of the developers, is involved here, takes care of the snow storage. He's got a personal interest in making sure it works right. So he trucks it off-site when he has to. So, I mean, we can't study how much snow's gonna happen. This year, we had a lot of snow.
Well,
We had like nothing last year. I mean, I don't know.
And that's why we shifted it over, instead of trying to say, okay, if you get an 8-inch storm, then we'd be expecting you to truck it off-site. Just to something because right now, it's like, okay, if it gets bad, what's bad? We don't really have a definition for something, versus if you kind of gave us some sort of a number, we know what to expect. And it's, I've run into that issue, not with your site, but with other sites, that, people agree that I don't know what I'm asking for if I don't.
Right now,
have a number.
we have a site where you couldn't pass a car and a fire truck within the perimeter of the road, existing road.
So I'm just saying, and the reason why I was asking numbers was to run that calculation and then just come to some sort of reasonable agreement of what we should expect. I don't think it's a big deal, it's just,
I just don't know what to calculate, but John will do something. John is.
I mean,
Well, I just want to add that, it's an existing site right now, and they've been managing it very well. I just had the conversation with them, that they trucked everything off the site on these last couple of storms, so this isn't something that's not gonna be dealt with. I mean,
I see that, but
just gonna make that point. that-
Anything over 18 feet, you guys will truck off?
Sure.
18 inches, I mean?
18 feet? That was quick. I got the first plane out to
18
Florida.
feet, guarantee it's gonna be trucked off.
Well, and that's where
They
I
haven't
come,
had any, they haven't had any complaints, so.
Well, no,
they've been
so
doing estimated.
so this is something that, and you
It's
probably
become
hear
an
me make
issue,
this
is what
comment
he's
in
saying,
other
on some
sites
of the
too.
other sites.
I like it,
That I've run into in other sites, and therefore, when I run into one problem, I try not to ignore it, I try and address it on everything moving forward. So, you're getting this comment because of other sites. I agree with that. It's not your site, but if I want to treat everybody the same, and I want to be reasonable, I don't want to say, you have to haul it at like 4 inches, that might not make any sense. We should be
Is it
comparing
safe to say
how much
anything over
space.
18 inches you'll truck off?
Sure,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right,
I mean,
good.
we want to be
Okay.
something reasonable.
That's
Because
reasonable.
it will come into a long-term O and M where, you know, they'll complete the project and it'll be on a property manager and it's good to,
That way you can tell
It's
your
good
property
to-
manager, if you hit this many inches,
Still running a business there
Well,
anyways,
the-
so there's gonna need.
And
I,
they're gonna-
you know what,
they're gonna-
another site has told me that those exact same
The
things.
beauty of this
And they pile
parcel,
snow in their fire lane.
the beauty of this parcel is that the owner is the property manager, so there won't be any shenanigans in terms of snow storage.
I
Good to
just,
hear.
I
Good to
want
hear.
you,
nothing's
everybody.
All right,
deliberate, it's just trying.
Move along. All right. What else?
But I
Anybody
think
got
for
anything?
snow storage, sorry, Ms. Chair, we did look maybe at having to move some of the plants, where the snow storage, I don't know if that's a landscape architect thing to, because it is a,
That's always an issue. I mean, it's, what do you do? I mean, you want landscaping, you try to plow it where you can plow it and get rid of it. I mean, it's just.
all I
you
could
know.
think is you maybe leave some spaces, cluster some plants and leave some open. I don't know, but like Todd said, it's an existing issue and we're just trying to
Address it moving forward for
get
everybody.
ahead of it, yeah. Because it is frustrating on our end too, when we go to another site and, oh, well, what do you want us to do? And that's the way it got approved, so just trying to look at some issues we're having now to get ahead of it for another project.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I had a
Sure.
question. This may have already been addressed at a previous hearing, and I apologize that it has. Have you already discussed the issue of the S2 permit that the developer has from the selectmen regarding the height of the building?
They have given us their permission from the selectmen in a letter.
This is the 2022 permit?
It was 2022 permit under the Permit Extension Act.
Yeah.
I've recently just filed for an extension of the S2 permit. I think it was last month,
Okay.
just waiting a hearing before the selectmen to extend the permit.
Okay, that was going to be my question, Mr. Chair, if that
Yeah, it's
permit.
already
had been
before.
The only thing I would, now that you bring that up, is I'd like to see them go before the board and get permission for the drive-ups.
Well, it might not be the same night we're going. Potentially with the drive-through.
Yeah, well, if they say no, which I doubt they will, then we have a whole different ballgame here, and everything that these people are putting in.
Well,
Didn't
then we,
they-
back to you with
Right.
the modification, but I don't see the Board of Selectmen at that point.
Okay. So I
And you don't have a use yet, right? You may not
Well-
even need the drive-through?
Well, I thought they
So,
were
okay,
gonna
just,
use it.
just,
Definitely need
there's
the
two drive-throughs contemplated. The first drive-through, and what I call building number one, where the current car loans exist today, is gonna be, soon we get the permit from the Board of Selectmen, it's gonna be a drive-through for car loans, clearly. They're planning on the other building, probably have a restaurant use, in the corner of that building will probably want to drive through. So it makes sense, this is just me speaking now, that get our approvals from the planning board, subject to a condition that we have to get, you don't have to make it a condition, because we know we have to get Board of Selectmen, you can make it a condition if you want. We go to the Board of Selectmen, they say yay, everyone's happy, they say nay, we're back here saying we took a drive-through out, and we added 5 more spaces or whatever, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we gotta, someone's gotta go first.
Makes sense.
Okay. So we all have a plan of attack? Coordinated? Yep. All right.
Okay, I think I know what to do.
And you guys can communicate before,
Yeah, we'll talk.
back and forth, you guys do
I'll
a
probably
good
give you a
job.
call.
What are the chances of putting all this together on one set of plans?
Oh, we don't have much to do.
I mean, it's all done, it's just that, I got 5 sets of plans for.
We just need
What
to
do you
get
mean,
rid
one
of
set
some
of
of your old
plans?
plans.
Yeah, just so that we can
You
have
wanna
a,
stable the architectural
clean
plans?
the
Could you just get one clean set for John, because his are all over the place?
Yeah, so what do you want, John? You want the civil plans
Current
attached to
clean
the
set
architectural
for
plans?
John.
yeah,
How many sets would you like?
well, we need 7.
Okay,
Just for approval, because what we're doing, something different is we're signing every page of the plan and then giving it to the building commissioner for approval, because what has happened in the past, it's happened for the last 40 years here, is every department gets a little bit different plan. And then we have, within ourselves, we have a little bit of friction. So we're gonna make up a stamp that we're gonna sign every page of the plan, and if it's all together, it just makes it easier. So if the building commissioner calls one of us, it's there, it's signed, we approved it, it's done. So it's just, to have all this, my wife's ready to throw me out with all of it, to be truthfully honest.
Sure, it's just the plan?
Yeah, well, maybe just me, she'll keep the plan.
Using us for an excuse.
That's the plan.
With the excuse.
So, it's just that we all know where we're going, and
Yeah,
we're not looking at plans from 5 years ago, and it just tightens everything up, that's all.
All right, so I think we're real close. This is good meeting.
Okay,
Wanna
so.
continue to, the next meeting will be,
There's no meeting next week. So it's in March. March 5th, Nancy?
March 5th, and we will have the feedback on the remaining issues.
We should have it all put
So they'll be
together.
added as conditions when the board so moves.
Right.
sounds good.
March what?
March 5th?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Courtney.
Safe trip back.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, how far do you live? Right there for traffic. I think I emailed you, but
It was the one from January.
yeah, because he's been working on this one.
Sue, thanks for coming.
January
Steve, do you
14th.
remember this last one you did was this, for the site was January 14th?
It sounds about right. I can send it. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
send
think
it
I
right
did
now.
send it, but if you wanna send it again.
I have that one, Steve.
Mhm.
So I'm all set.
Yeah, I sent you everything. Thank you. Okay. Next,
Next on the agenda, we have 180 Central Street in for a red line drawing modification of plans.
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, thank you for having me tonight. It's more of an update than anything else. Some of the items I had to get in didn't come in on time, but I did get the red line plans in for the inside of the building, areas that were changed. We still have issues with, we still had issues with the transformer in the wall, which I got a letter today from National Grid and their legal department, issuing that whole process right there was a firewall, not meant to be a blast wall, and that it covers their requirements. So,
But it's
that I
not-
still have to submit because I haven't submitted it yet, I just got it before I got here.
Okay, because that is not on any plan that we've seen so far.
No, not yet, no.
Okay, now there's also a concrete wall that's down in the river.
That's the same wall. That's the wall next to the transformer.
So there's one that's actually lower than the transformer. Almost looks like it's on the riverbank.
No, it's the same wall. It comes up from at the deck level or below the deck level
Yeah.
of the building and goes straight up.
Okay.
And at the top of that wall is the actual wall that's next to the transformer. Again, more to bring it up to speed, I'm dealing with COMCOM to bring up all the items. I just got them the RAM plan yesterday, so trying to get their items all up to compliance. Again, handed off the 8-ball and all the stuff that's kind of been sitting and so forth, so we're just trying to get ahead. I want to get to the point where we can get the power turned on in the building, get the heat on, and eventually get the water in. We've been at a standstill now for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So right now, I got contractors waiting to be paid, and I got people waiting to finish their jobs, and I got, a good section of the building to finish. And the transformer section has really been the item. But I believe we've pretty much gotten to that point. So, really, for the building inspector to give us the okay to get that, he won't do any inspections on the site until he gets that letter, so.
So this doesn't help the planning board, because we have no jurisdiction on anything on the side of the building.
On the inside of the building?
We have no jurisdiction what you
okay.
do inside.
So that was, the building inspector wanted any redlined items for the
So
building?
we're looking for the red line items for the walls, the transformer location. None of that was on the original plans.
Right, it wasn't
What
on,
else was there? Was a few things that were on there. The
okay.
wetlands, they're gonna handle the.
But, yes, the RAM plan will
doesn't
cover
have
that, I
anything
have
to do
that
with
all
the
set.
planning board.
You'd also mentioned that there was I believe it was a handicap something access,
There's,
well, that was new. So
Right.
anything new or changed, you wanna put on the red lines and show them as red
yes,
lines?
and I do have, yeah, I have copies,
But
I've already
you'd have to
put them
submit it in
in.
time for the.
For the next meeting, yes,
The
I
Thursday
understand that,
before the meeting, so
Yep,
it's a week
yep.
before you have to submit it.
right.
And then I noticed that these plans aren't stamped by no certification on the plans. Have we changed engineers then?
No, nope, same engineer. I got them from him, so,
So the outside engineer, was- I can't remember his name at the top. It wasn't Phoenix.
they're the architect for the inside, yeah,
The architectural, okay.
right,
So you
right,
have a site plan engineer
yes, we do,
that would have to do the red line drawing, stamp it, submit it.
right.
Okay. Sorry to keep you that long.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
Joe Bocelli II, out of North Reading, Mass. Basically, I understand we have to submit the exterior transformer location. We're just trying to work together and get this thing done off my family's plate. I know there's been a lot of back and forth between my father, my brother, and whoever else. I'm not them. I'm
Be careful.
How many brothers do you have?
one. I've got one brother and one father. Trying to keep them around, so this has kind of stressed a lot of the family out. We're doing our best here. I was brought in, and our company, Sleeping Dog Properties, was brought in to kind of take it to completion. And just, my father was sick, he had cancer, and, didn't really.
Sorry to hear that.
No, yeah, he's okay now, but during the time he was preoccupied and didn't do things maybe the way that they should have been done. And that's not how I do business and not how we, as a company, do construction. So I just want to assure the board that we're going to make sure that everything gets to you in a timely fashion and take care of it, get the transformer location approved so we can get permanent power in the building. Currently the transformer is complete. National Grid has installed the transformer and the wires have been pulled. So I'm not sure if the approval on the transformer location is formality. I don't think it could go anywhere else, or or what the thought process would be. So
We're looking to see what it took away to make it fit that location. And it was pretty close to some handicap parking there. I just noticed the other day that you were churning everything. It was hung up on the end, the transformer was up on an excavator.
they were
Well,
pulling
the wires,
They're pulling the wires. through.
right, we put a pulley on the excavator so they could run the wires down
Okay.
into
I seen
the transformer.
in the- so I
Right,
said,
right,
okay, what's going
right.
on now?
Yeah, so it's currently run, and the attorney, Joe Doherty, spoke to Mike Lavecchia, and Mike said that if we got the letter from National Grid, that he would, on his end, he would approve and potentially inspect, so that we could get permanent power into the building, to at least progress and get some vendors paid. I can't pay the vendors until they test the systems, and, they're all local vendors, so I want to get the guys, paid and taken care of to push the work a little bit.
Where are you guys at with the pavement out back? There was
We're-
some talk about changing the pavement too.
To gravel, that's currently in process.
Yep.
Now, we're working through it with the designers.
To change it from the,
From-
From the,
pavement.
correct, right, impervious.
So who?
That would become under our preview.
That would be a change, right?
That would be a change that would come under our preview because it has to do with site work.
Yeah.
So have you looked at any of that?
Well, they haven't.
There are no calculations of difference presented.
They haven't actually submitted anything like that. But that would
So
also.
you're in
go
the
to-
process of
We
submitting
are.
that stuff, not
Right.
doing that work?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And they'd also need to get approval from Concom, just about that entire site is within,
It's a dull Concom.
yeah.
Did you guys flood the other day down there?
No.
No, good.
Oh, you mean out in the street?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's come up a lot since I've been here, and only been around for a few months now, and I guess, did the town fix that problem further up the line on that river? So I guess it used to flood all the time. It hasn't flooded in
well, they
2
put
years.
I believe, before you guys got involved, they put like a 5-foot culvert in
Yeah.
that
that's what I
came
heard.
down from Lyndhurst School, and then turned the one across and they connected it further down. Because that was, anyone that had a boat had a great time. It used to, every May it would be floating, everything down there would be floating. So,
I
So-
thought the choke point was where it goes under Elm, out behind the property.
Okay,
That's where it used to flood, those houses a little further down used to flood that.
Okay, and because of that, there was a condition, I think it was during, prior to occupancy, to make a contribution for a drainage study, similar to how there was a contribution for a water improvement.
Anything in the order of conditions will be addressed, absolutely.
But that could be, I don't know anything about the recent flooding, but I know historically that, you know, where it passes under and why that condition was made was there. In terms of out back, if you're proposing a change, I would just look at the whole thing. I noticed there's like a 40 mil liner as well. Would you still plan on doing that, or would that be part of the change, or?
We'll talk to the engineer and make sure it's on the up and up before we submit.
Yeah, I think the board would kind of like to see exactly what the layers would be out there, and, you know, I know there are, if the liner is, I know, there are companies that, you know, specialize in that, and you can get custom sizes and welded together. And,
Right.
you know, if you needed any guidance on that, engineering department be able to help you. I
Appreciate it,
familiar with that kind of work.
appreciate it, thank you.
Do you have a suggestion for back there, off the top of your head?
Like U.S. Construction Fabrics is a company, but that's all. I mean, if you
Right.
have to put the liner in, I would,
If required.
rather than buying one roll, you could get custom rolls, you know, not to tell you what to do, but it can get hard to work with.
Yeah,
But
have it welded instead of seamed everywhere,
Right.
exactly, yeah.
makes sense.
one other question, where do we stand with the circulation on the driveways down there?
In terms of,
So, you own the building that the cable TV is in?
Yes.
And there was talk about coming on the back side of that, for separate entrance or exit?
No,
I'm not sure.
no, I don't believe so.
I remember something coming up and a lot of talk about that entrance and exit, I don't.
Well, that whole site, so that was back when I was here before. And the site ended up before Concom multiple times with multiple different options. That option did come up.
Okay,
That it wasn't what was approved, but that option did come up, and that was presented before the board one or two times at least.
Yep.
So there's definitely a reason why you're remembering it. But there was a lot of, you guys spent a lot, I mean, and reasonably so, you're on the river.
Right.
Not necessarily you guys, but this project was before Concom for quite a while. Because there were significant, well, you're on the river, it's just on the river.
Yeah, understood. So we'll prepare, stamp red line of the exterior. We'll try to get the
Right, so
parking, the rear parking in with.
parking, the front,
Do it
anything
once.
that's changed. Like I say, if we pass on that drawing to the building commissioner and it's not there, he's not gonna move forward.
Yeah.
So let's put it up front, the board will make a decision whether it's a minor or major change, and we'll take it from there.
Excellent, appreciate it.
The board would also like a timeline.
Yes, yeah, I was gonna mention that, I have that for you, but I figured I'd let you know before the next meeting or the COMCON meeting. I have a
The board
full
likes to-
schedule, yep,
A great way of showing the board that you're progressing and you've got a plan is to say, well, you know, we're planning on doing this by this time, this by that time.
right,
And then when we go by those times and you've done that work, gives the board confidence that you're gonna complete the project as proposed.
right.
Understood.
Unfortunately, I have frozen snow everywhere right now, so I'm
Well,
literally,
I'm not saying that
my-
it has to
no,
be
no, I know,
tomorrow.
I'm just saying my
It
hands
could
are
be
tied for
hey,
the time being,
We want a reasonable schedule, you know, telling us that you're
Yes.
leaving right now,
right,
it makes you look, it doesn't make you look like you know what you're doing. Opposed to,
Right.
hey, we're planning on like May-ish, or you know, we want this to happen before we start doing. There's a certain time that we think the snow will be gone, so we can work on the
Right.
plants then. There's a certain time that we're gonna, give us some sort of a
Exactly.
reasonable timeline, that
Yep.
if the timeline doesn't look right, we're gonna look at you funny.
Yeah, of course.
Understood,
You
yep.
know, we like a reason, we like a timeline, but if it isn't reasonable, we're kind of wonder.
No problem.
Is the exterior part of the building done? All tuck pointed? That's the finished what you have out there now? You get a ton of phone calls and a ton of complaints.
About
So
the aesthetic
I
of
said,
it?
they're not done, give them a chance.
I mean, there's still exterior where the doors have gone and the windows still has to be addressed.
Yeah, it'll be finished,
All right,
but
so another question, a little irrelevant, but how did you come up with the name Sleeping Dog?
Well, the owner of the company that has been in business 35 years, I've been with them 7 years in director of construction for the company. Do a lot of high-end stuff in the city and then Lakes Region, New Hampshire. We're also doing 40 units in Wakefield right now, so.
So do you know how it
Don't
came up
wake
with the
him.
name?
Yeah, he had it's a boring story. He had a dog that was asleep in his wood shop 35 years ago. His dog would always sleep, that's it. That's the whole
I like
story.
it.
I wish it was a better story than that, but that's the.
I like it.
Let it lie.
Yeah, I like that,
No,
yeah.
people, we rebranded a few years ago and people gravitated towards the name. And kids like it. My kids like it.
I like the name, so.
Mr. Chair, this is not the reason why I'm here, obviously, but just a question through you, or maybe a point for you gentlemen to be mindful of or to bring to the developer. They are required to do the inclusionary housing for this project. They were supposed to do it before the building permit issued. I recommend that you get started on that ASAP, let the developer know about it, because for the last project where we had to do this for Maddie's place, it took about 6 months due to delays in how slow things work at the state level with getting those agreements approved. So if you're looking for occupancy soon, definitely have to get started.
Thank you, appreciate it.
okay, thank you.
You can feel free to give my contact information, Jesse Schomer.
All right, excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
This is one I haven't thought about, this project in probably 2.5
It's
years.
kind of disappeared.
Yeah,
It just went off the radar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Someone was
We're trying to get all
supposed to,
this
someone was supposed to come back 2 months ago with the red line drawing. I won't say no names.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
guys,
Thanks for
have a
your
good
time.
night.
Thank you.
Everything we had is out. The cat's out
Mr.
of
Chair, I
the bag.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Good night, gentlemen.
Steve.
Good night.